have a new process in place that we hope we can cut that down to 90 days. I know that still seems a long time, but there's a lot of things that have to go into it, where they actually go out, view the poles, make sure that there's not too much weight on the pole, that the pole isn't leaning funny. We all see these poles as we drive around. I see them all the time. And now that I'm, in this role, I constantly notice what's on every pole. So, BGE actually has been very helpful, and I think they will continue to be. They want to be a part and a help. So, that's a very good thing. Okay, so the next question is about internet for Phoenix and the Glenarm area. I'm going to put that one on pause because when I get into my presentation a little bit, I'll be able to kind of show some mapping and things that are happening in that region, and so I'll address that as we move forward. So,
yep, go ahead.
Okay, so look, the great thing about this process is that we know that there is money there from the federal government, the state government. They know there's an issue. They know there's a problem with receiving internet service in the county, right? In the state, in the county, and nationwide, really. The three factors, of course, are reliability. Just having service. I mean, a lot of you have DSL and ancient technologies that just don't work anymore. Then there's the affordability issue, which we've talked about previously, and then there's the digital literacy piece, which I have some more information on, and I can help share that with anybody that needs it. But I really want to talk about serviceability, right? Actually getting a reliable connection in your home, right? So when I took the seat of cable administrator a little over 2 years ago, that was a main factor in my responsibilities. So kind of one of the first things I did was actually have a meeting with Kathy Jeppy from the Hartford Community Group, who I see. Hi, Kathy. And so she was unbelievably helpful to me. Right? So the biggest thing is she did a social media campaign, and basically went to as many people through email, through pigeons, however we could do it. We put the word out, and we wanted people to basically raise their hand and say, I don't have service, right? We needed to know where the pockets of those homes were in the northern part of the county, above what we call the hurdle, so above here, right, Hunt Valley. And we needed to understand where everybody was, because if we were going to do a build out, I wanted to do it very strategically, right? I want to take the funding that's available and get to as many homes as humanly possible with the money that we have, right? If I can get to 300 homes for X amount of dollars, that beats getting to 100 homes for the same money, right? So, as I said before, we have to walk before we can run. So we put out this, Kathy put out the social media campaign, and literally every 3 days she was emailing me with new people that responded, which was fantastic information for me. And I put together a giant glorified Excel spreadsheet with I think we had 18 or 1900 people that responded to it. So what I did with that information is I plotted it on this through our GIS system. I plotted it on this map. So every dot that you see here is somebody that said, hey, I don't have internet, right? So the first thing to do was to work with the vendors that we believe could service the community best, right? And our wired vendors are Comcast and Verizon. Unfortunately, Verizon's infrastructure really isn't anywhere near the northern part of the county. They're just not there. So for them to build out to the homes that you see on this map would be probably 2 to 3 times more expensive than that of a Comcast, right? Comcast can do it. They have some infrastructure in the region, and we can utilize the infrastructure they have now to kind of build out that giant spider web. So we took a look at all of this data. We tried to figure out which is the best kind of area to attack. And we kind of came up with the northwest corner. this whole region that you see here. Now, understand that the dots that we see are just those people that actually raised their hand. There might have been a lot of people that didn't know that we were asking if they needed service. So when I can zoom in on this and get down to the street level, there may be 3 houses in a row that you see that raised their hand, but there's 4 other ones that didn't raise their hand because they simply didn't know about the project. But we can extrapolate data from that and kind of come up with the idea that there are a little over 4,000 people in the northern part of the county that don't have service. So what can we do to get them service as quickly as possible? So the great thing is that Kenrick has a fantastic program for an infrastructure grant, and we partnered with Comcast to kind of figure out what areas we were going to kind of attack first. And let me close this real quick here, sorry, and I'm going to bring up another map. Sorry, I have tons of different maps. So the next one is the map of our kind of planned build out for the infrastructure grant that we just recently won. So you can see it's focused in the northwest corner of the state. Mainly, I think 90% of the households that are going to be served by this grant. And again, $2.25 million is received by the state, which is actually a little more than we asked for, so I thank Brooke for that. We're actually going to expand the grant some and add some additional homes to it as things move forward. But then the county is also kicking in about $700,000 from CARES money that we received last year. And Comcast is kicking in just under $1.2 million for their share. So, this is a real partnership. The state has been fantastic in helping us. The county's kicking in funding, and Comcast is paying for a good portion of it as well. So it's a great partnership. I can get very detailed with this information. If anybody down the road wants to know, and I'm going to publicize these maps and actually an Excel spreadsheet within the next week or so of every home that we know today we're going to target, right? There may be some more that we can add in later. We have, like I said, we have a little extra money. So we're looking, I have a couple projects in mind that I want to get to. But Kathy, trust me when I tell you, I'll get you that info here within the next week or so. We'll have that done. Okay, and I've just been trying to coordinate things with Comcast to make sure we're on the same page, right? What I want to do and what they want to do, I have to go back and forth with what it's going to cost out of the budget that we have, right? So I'll get very detailed. I'll get down to the address. So if anybody has a particular address that they want me to look at, I'll provide my contact information. You can shoot me an email and I'll let you know whether you're part of it or not. Or we can wait till the public information comes out. But this is a great program. As you can see, all the green dots, I can get into a quicker level. This timber shake port area, I think there are like 34 houses here, and I think 31 of the people actually called me or emailed me. But there's tons and tons of homes. I calculate a little over. Originally, the project was about 860 homes. Comcast and I have worked to expand that. We're now in the 915 range for the same money, right? For the same funding. That hasn't changed at all. We just found some other ways to kind of do things for the same funding that we can reach a few more people, right? There was also some houses that we missed along the way, along the street, that now we've kind of shared information with each other, and we're going to be able to get to those. And then the other additional funding that we have, I think we can probably get to 60 to maybe 100 more homes for that extra money that Rick provided, and we will be doing that. Now going forward, so we have the 4,000 homes in the county. We're going to get to maybe around 1,000 homes with this project, but there's still 3,000 other people out there that want to, say, what about me? And so there's a plan. Trust me, we have a 3-year plan at the county to kind of build out to those other areas, right? So as you saw the initial map that I had with all the dots on it, of course we targeted the northwest corner, but now we're going to target it with future money that the state's going to provide. There's also possibly some federal funding that's going to be out there that we're going to look into. You know, we have a plan to get to as many people as possible. Now, I know I've received some questions as well about other technologies and things that may be able to help. There's wireless options out there. There's satellite options that we've heard about. But I kind of have a thought process in this, right? The wired service is going to be the most reliable and robust service to every home. I want to see as many homes as humanly possible get a wired connection to their home. There are going to be, out of those 4,000 people, there's going to be a small percentage that we just simply can't get to because they're so far out that the infrastructure cost to get to a particular house might be absorbent and we just can't get there. So we could look at other avenues with wireless service, with satellite. But I'd rather do that later rather than now. I want to focus on the connectivity issue, a wired type of connection. It's going to be secure. You're going to get the bandwidth that you need, whatever bandwidth level you could possibly want. We are trying to engage Verizon to get in the mix as well, in maybe the eastern part of the county, because they might have to spend a little more to get there, but they want to do that. So I'll be looking at all different avenues, but we're going to focus on the wired service first, and then we'll focus on the wired and the satellite, down the road. So, yeah, you have a question, go ahead.
Along those lines, where the government and the private entity are each contributing to those lines, when at some point in the future, Verizon or Comcast go belly up, do those lines belong to you?
No, those lines will, under the grant that we just received, those lines will belong to Comcast.
They belong to Comcast.
Yes.
So they can basically say nobody can use them without paying a fee.
They could, but as part of the grant that they're receiving, they're committing to allow those residents usage of those lines. So, Comcast is a Fortune 25 company. I don't think that they're going anywhere anytime fast. I don't see them going belly up or anybody buying them. If anything, they would buy somebody else.
I'm sorry, I just work in business.
No. I think I understand the fear. I understand the fear part of it, but
why do they need to own it if it's being built out with public money and they get charged as fees for the content? I mean, you got to use Comcast or Verizon once the line's in place. You got to pay them a fee. But if they went away and somebody else was providing the service, but the lines are still theirs, don't we now face the problem of we don't have to?
Well, I mean, I understand, but I just have to look at it from a national standpoint, right? From a perspective, I've never ever seen them in any municipality kind of not continue service in the geographic area, right? Once they build it and they have the infrastructure in place, they're keeping it. I've never seen them give up any ground. The only time they did that is when they did some swaps with Charter Communications about 5 or 6 years ago, where Charter and Comcast actually traded areas, right? But the infrastructure was still there by that vendor. They still owned and maintained it. I don't see Comcast giving up the right to serve a community. I mean, once the infrastructure is built, this is going to be profitable to Comcast very quickly. And I don't see them giving up the rights to provide service to anyone in that region.
Do they have an obligation to update and improve those lines?
Yes.
This is an area
they do.
Really
They do under the franchise. So both Comcast and Verizon have what's called a franchise agreement with the county, and they have rules and regulations are built into the franchise agreement. that they have to provide technology that's up to par with and advanced technology as that becomes available to them. They've never really had an issue with upgrading or anything that I've seen. Not necessarily the first one do something, but they're a follower.
One question.
Sure.
We got in touch with Comcast, and after hours waiting for them to get in touch with them, they initially told us it would cost $12,000 to run the line 200 feet past our house, and then we would need to trench it to our house, which is another $500. We hung up and called back, spent time on hold, got a different person, and got a different answer. So we just kept calling until we got the best answer we wanted to hear. And then we paid the money, which was way less than that amount of money, but we had to pay commercial internet for 3 years. We had to pay like we were running a business for 3 years, which is 300 and some bucks a month, which was in place for about 2 years. And then we called and said, "Can we change our plan?" And the guy said, "Sure," and we changed it down to a regular plan. It's a left hand, I don't know what the right hand's doing kind of problem. Are you all a conduit that if you're in internet trouble and you don't have it, so which means, for example, during a pandemic, and I don't think we had our last, if you don't have internet, you don't have education.
Sure.
So are you somebody that can intercede
Absolutely.
on behalf of...
Absolutely. That I am the guy, right?
Okay.
I'm the guy.
Yeah.
So, please, I can provide my contact information to you. If anybody has a problem or trouble or a situation like that, whatever it might be, run it through. I know the right people to contact, right? And sometimes you're right. One hand doesn't know what the other's doing. I totally get it, right? But I've developed relationships since I've been in seat, and to make it perfectly clear, prior to coming to the county, I worked for Comcast for 15 years.
Good.
So I know where, as Rob O'Connor says, I know where all the bodies are buried, right? So I know how to get things done. I know the right buttons to push, right? And I'm absolutely willing to help if I can. So please reach out, shoot me an email, call, whatever, and I'll help any way I can.
Thank you.
No, I'm kind of done. He has one more question.
Mr. Davis, you teased us about the Phoenix and Gwinnett project.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. So it slipped my mind. Bear with me 1 minute. I'll find it on here. So we did a project very recently off of Carroll Run Road. So bear with me. I have to find it. So very recently, and this is in the, I guess this is in the Phoenix footprint. I don't know exactly where you're talking about, but we were able to actually, this isn't a grant project. This is actually a project we were able to get done through the franchise agreement that Comcast has with us to build out. There's some rules in the franchise agreement that says Comcast has to build out if there are X number of homes within a cable mile. So the infrastructure that Comcast has, this particular project met those requirements. So we were able to get build out. You can see to about 32 homes in the Philpott, Carroll Run, Cross Creek area. Now the good thing is that, like I said before, all of these projects, sometimes there's a road or something that's a little further away, but one project will build off another project, right? So now that this is being literally constructed right now. So once this is done, we'll be able to get a little further up X road or a little further over to this road and build out that infrastructure to secure it. Is there a particular road or whatever that you're...
I have some geographical areas. We're talking about Glenarm, which is lower. It's southeast of there.
Yeah.
It's more above Lock Raven Reservoir. And then Phoenix, I would say Stansbury Mill Speedo Road, Stansbury Mill, and Manor Road.
Yeah, well, there's some that have service today. Are you talking about, you're having service issues or no service at all?
So you might have, a street, and you might have some houses on the street, but then what if your lane is a quarter mile?
Right.
What if your farm is down there? They want to charge
So
a
they're-
certain amount of money to bring it in.
Sure, so what you can do is, again, I'll give you my email address. You can send me an email. I'll absolutely research your particular street. I have mapping and things that I've developed that has Comcast infrastructure on it, which I can't share with the public, but it's my information that I have. And I can research and see how far you're away, how many homes are in your community, and see that if it meets density requirements, there's strength in numbers, right? So if you're on a and it doesn't have to be, there's rules in the county code that say there needs to be 15 homes within a cable mile to provide service, but there can also be 7 homes in a half a mile, right? It doesn't necessarily have to always be a mile and always be 15 homes. It could be a little less or a little more. It might be 1.2 miles that has, 18 homes. And I can review that for you. I have about 30 projects right now. Carroll Run was the very first project that I ever did taking seat at the county. And now we're in the process of building it out. I'll absolutely research it for you, just like I would anybody.
Sure, and actually, areas I'm thinking of are probably have more housing per mile.
Yeah, and
knows.
absolutely, and I'll research it for you for sure.
Thank you, that's very valuable.
Sure, I'll give my card, I have cards, I'll give them out after the discussion. Go ahead, Kathy.
You answered one of the questions, because the last time you and I talked about this, we had 13 of these, and now you're up to 30, which is a good sign.
Yes.
Now, in the data that you're going to provide next week, addresses that are going to be accessible or in scope of the projects, can you also include these 30 projects, where they stand? In other words, are they approved?
Yeah.
What needs to happen?
I'm able to do that, but maybe not for a couple more weeks. I'm working on something with Comcast right now on those projects, and they have to do site surveys for a lot of them. They've completed some of them, but still some I'm waiting on. So as things come to me from Comcast, I will make that information.
The question
public.
for you, I realize that you've got follow-up steps like you're describing.
Sure.
Are there any of those projects where you still need the community's help? For instance,
Well, in most of them.
door to door.
In most of them. So the rules of the county code say that there needs to be 15 homes within a mile, provided that those 15 homes will sign up for service for at least 1 year. That's kind of the requirement.
Can you share with me where you still need
Sure,
community help? And
absolutely.
I'll help you with that.
The thing is that the ones that I've worked on so far, usually, and the community has been wonderful to help, especially in COVID, right? Because I wasn't able to kind of do some canvassing and go out and knock on doors and talk to people. So I've kind of engaged 1 or 2 neighbors. There's always 1 or 2 people that are very gung-ho about helping in any way they can. And they, I had a woman that Danielle that helped me with the Carroll Run. She canvassed every neighbor. She talked to them. She had meetings at her house. And to kind of rally the troops, right? And like I said, there is strength in numbers. I haven't had any issues getting somebody to help me in each community. Everybody's been great.
Thank you. I just want to say something about that.
Sure.
Unless there's something else you want to. Anyway, yeah, I do want to let you all know. So, there is a campaign season coming up, and we are already knocking doors in those neighborhoods. So that can be part of the outreach that we do through the office as well. As we can hit we can hit all of the. If you have something, Kathy, that you want to print out, just to let people know who to contact. Then as we're contacting people, we can make sure no one's passed over. And then they know, that's a good way to make sure that more people are reached. And then the other thing is we also, as legislators, have liaisons to Comcast, Verizon, all of the utilities. So John is absolutely the most bits. He knows where the bodies are buried, and I do not. But if you can't get in touch with him, or he's super busy, or you need something else outside of Comcast, then we do have those connections as well. And that's a lot of what we do in our office. So if you were unaware of that, now you know, and you can let people know that if they're having issues, particularly continued issues with their utility services, and they can contact their legislature, which is probably me. So happy to help with all of that. We do have another meeting that has to happen in this room. So I am hoping that, are there any other questions anyone have burning questions? I'm also hoping that maybe these gentlemen who've just done a fabulous job and taken a lot of time to be here with us today, they will share information, and they will also maybe hang around for a minute or two out there and answer specific questions if any of you have them. I just offered that on your behalf. Is that okay? All right. I'll do that as well. I'll be standing right outside in the lobby area outside the door, so we'll all move out there. But thank you.